Hello, Guru Nation. Welcome back to another episode. This is going to be a special one because it's one that I haven't done in a long time, probably since the beginning of my YouTube channel. So I know we have a lot more viewers now, a lot more listeners on the podcast, and so there's a lot more opportunities to bring you new stuff and new perspectives and, got some grays in my beard. So I've learned a little bit more about this kind of stuff, and I've actually been through some quite a bit of hiring process myself with clinical research coordinators. So this episode is gonna be how to become a clinical research coordinator. Now, before we start, I want to tell you we have a CRC Academy. That's a clinical research coordinator academy that sets you up for success, basically. And all the stuff we're going to talk about in this particular episode, we actually help you with a lot of that stuff there. So a lot of the stuff here that sounds like a lot of hard work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that a lot of these strategies may entail, we kind of make that a little less painful for you in the CRC Academy. Besides also giving you the 3-month course, which is like the fundamentals of being a coordinator. It's a 3-month online course, but then we have the internship component, which is really where the magic happens for clinical research coordinators. So with all that being said, how does one become a clinical research coordinator? There's several possibilities. I mean, probably as many as you can imagine. But usually, somebody becomes a study coordinator either because they work for a doctor and the doctor decides to start getting into research for him or herself. And so they start to promote people from within. So these doctors' offices, they all often have medical assistants. And a lot of times these medical assistants, because they already know how to draw blood, they already know how to do vitals, they already know how to do a lot of the on the ground type of work with the patients, which is what a coordinator oftentimes is going to be required to do. Not always. Some sites really have everything streamlined to where they have somebody who draws blood, somebody who processes the blood, somebody who screens the patients on the phone, so like pre-screening visit, somebody who does a consent form with the patient, somebody who enters the data in the EDC. You have sites that are streamlined, but the majority of sites, the coordinator does everything. Everything I just mentioned and more. Sometimes the coordinators even do recruitment of patients. Sometimes sometimes study coordinators even get involved in the budget, the contracts and budgets, the startup regulatory, the regulatory maintenance. You can watch all this stuff in my 5-hour video on clinical research, all the details of what a coordinator does, what a CRA does. But how to become a coordinator? Number one, you either luck into it because you happen to work with a doctor who is doing research and they promote you, or maybe you work at an academic medical center or a hospital where they're also doing research and they promote you. So then you kind of become aware of clinical research. But let's assume that's not you. Let's assume you're someone just watching this or listening and you're thinking, okay, well, how do I become a clinical research coordinator? And you gotta look at the research sites in your area. You gotta know where they are. I wouldn't really spend too much time with the big sites like the hospitals or the academic medical centers in your area, unless you feel good about doing that or you really want to work in one of those places. You can go try and intern there, but you'll have much better success interning at a local, smaller type of site in your area. So how do you find these sites in your area? You just Google research clinic and then your zip code, and you should see different stuff pop up. Or you can put clinical research and your zip code and see different sites pop up. Another thing you can do is go on clinicaltrials.gov and search for your zip code or your city and your state, and then you'll find a list of studies. If that's the search criteria you used on clinicaltrials.gov, then every listing that comes up will have one site that's in your area. So then you need to click on each listing and go look at study locations. On clinicaltrials.gov, there's a tab that says study locations. Once you click on the study, you can see study locations towards the middle to bottom of the clinicaltrials.gov listing. And sometimes they'll have the site name. Other times they won't, so then you're out of luck there. But sometimes they have the site name. Sometimes they even have a phone number for the site. Sometimes they even have an email of somebody at the site. However it is, you got to first identify the sites in your area that you want to intern at. Then you got to start thinking, putting yourself in their shoes. What do they need? And what do you have? What can you provide them? Even if it's an internship, okay, sites, they don't necessarily want to waste time training people, even if it's for free, because number one, many people at the site level, they don't have time to do that. And number two, many are not even good at training people. They want people that are already experienced. So you've got to figure out what you can do to provide that site with real value. For example, if you're a medical assistant, you probably know how to draw blood, probably know how to do vital signs, you probably know how to do ECGs, you probably know how to do a lot of things that take up time for that site. So you can go volunteer at the clinic and say, hey, I'm a medical assistant. I want to get involved in clinical research. I'll intern here for free if you need help drawing blood or processing labs. If you want extra credit, if this is the route you go get an IATA, IATA. Go get a free IATA certificate online. Just Google IATA training, IATA. And if you need help with the link, email me, Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I'll send you the actual link. But that's one of the things I would do if you're a medical assistant. Another thing to add to your repertoire is figure out how to get studies for the sites. Figure out how to do business development for the sites. So since you've already gone on clinicaltrials.gov to identify sites in your area, you're familiar with clinicaltrials.gov. So now just go on clinicaltrials.gov, find out what kind of studies those sites do that are in your area. So you're going to map them out. You should probably have an Excel sheet or a Word document, and then you have each site, and underneath you'll have the different therapeutic areas that they specialize in. This is where you got to do your due diligence. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work even to work for free for somebody. It's a lot of work, as you can see, but it's the way to go, in my opinion. So, and I've interviewed somebody. Before you get discouraged and say this sounds like a lot of work, it will never happen for me, I just interviewed somebody from my CRA Academy who I just interviewed somebody. I think she was from my CRA Academy. No, she was not in my CRA Academy, because if you're in my CRA Academy, you already have the internship part set up for you as well. So I just interviewed somebody who tried this strategy, and the third site that she approached decided to hire her, not just intern. I think she interned there for like a week, and then they offered her a job, and she's a full-time study coordinator now, without my academy, without anything, right? I think she read my book. I think she watched the 5-hour video, and she watched some videos like this, or listened to some podcasts like this, where I give strategies on how to do this. So identify, map out, do your due diligence, identify which sites are in your area, and identify what therapeutic areas they specialize in. And then go one by one. So let's say site A does respiratory studies. Then you'll go on clinicaltrials.gov and you will look up asthma studies. You will look up different respiratory diseases and conditions on clinicaltrials.gov, and you can map out those potential studies that those sites can participate in. There's tons of studies on clinicaltrials.gov, so you've got to filter it out. If you put asthma, you need to filter it out. You need to put not yet recruiting or actively recruiting, and you've got to put United States. You've got to put industry sponsored, okay, where it says funding type, industry sponsored. And that should be it. That should be enough criteria to narrow down potential studies. Then you can start emailing those study contacts on clinicaltrials.gov from the sponsor or the CRO. You can start emailing those people The fact that you represent several research clinics in your area, and these you have several sites that are potentially interested in the study, and if they need to send any CDAs or feasibility surveys, they should send them to you. Now, keep in mind, you're not telling the sponsor that you're representing any one specific site because you're not yet, right? The site hasn't given you permission to do that yet, so I don't want you to get sued or get in trouble. You can just say that you work with several sites in your area. If you're in Atlanta, you can say I work with multiple sites in the Atlanta area. They would be interested in asthma studies. So if you need any sites, let me know. Then I can give the sites the CDAs and things like that. If the sponsors actually send you a CDA or ask you questions about specifics about that site, even more reason for you to go to the site and say, hey, you know what? I do business development in the community for different sites, and I've been approached by a sponsor about getting potential sites for this asthma study. So you can go in with this homework. I mean, this would be the ideal situation. You don't have to actually go this far, but if it goes that far, go with it because that's really what the sites care about. But you can just tell the sites, hey, I go on clinicaltrials.gov every single day and I look for studies for sites. If you want me to do that for you guys for free, I'll do it. You don't even need to pay me. What I want in return is experience on my resume. Because at the end of the day, that's how you become involved in clinical research. Like, shout out to the group Latinos in Clinical Research. We have a lot of members in here that are coordinators that are now started out as coordinators that now are CRAs and do other things, site owners, site directors. We have other people who are striving to be coordinators in this group as well. So one of the other things to do is network. Latinos in clinical research, all ethnicities welcome. Just go to latinosinclinicalresearch.com. The link is in the video description or in the show notes if you're on the podcast. So you basically got to go to the sites and show them what value you can provide to them. And people have used this strategy and have gotten hired. People that have watched my videos have gone and gotten hired using this strategy. Another option you can go is you can go to the sites and you can do your due diligence with the research sites in your area, and you could look to see, do they have an Instagram page? Do they have a Facebook page? Do they have a YouTube channel? What do they have? Do they have a blog? What does their website look like? Maybe you can offer your services for free, like, hey, I noticed you don't have an Instagram page, or I noticed you have an Instagram page but it's not very active. I can manage your Instagram profile for you. Here's what I want in return. I want just the intern here. I just want to volunteer here so I can get experience. I'll manage your Instagram for you. Whatever you need, I can do it. Facebook page, same thing. That's another easy way to get sites to take you on, because every site needs these kind of things, but not every site has the time. Even if they have an Instagram page or a Facebook page, it takes a lot of time to actually manage that. It's almost a full-time job just to manage the social profiles these days in a 2021 world. So that's where you can come in and say, you know what, I can do that for you. And in exchange, I just want internship experience here. I want to put studies on my resume so that I can go get hired as a coordinator somewhere. And you know what? More often than not, they will end up hiring you because every site needs coordinators. There's a shortage of clinical research coordinators. So that's something that also works in your favor. Another thing that you can do is maybe you can do community outreach. So that means either doing community outreach for those sites to get them potential patients for their studies, or doing community outreach for those sites to get the attention of other clinicians in the community to maybe refer patients or maybe work with the site. So you can tell the site that you are also a business development specialist in addition to getting studies or managing the social profiles. You can also do community outreach where you can go out through lunch and learns. You can pass flyers out at stores. You can pass flyers out in different doctors' offices about the research programs that the sites have. Sites would love this. Sites would definitely let you intern there if you were to offer them something in exchange. All you got to do is get your foot in the door just a little. Once it's in there, it's up to you to just push it back, kick it open, and then you'll get in there and you'll inevitably start getting exposed to different aspects of site dynamics. Okay, and if they like you, they're going to eventually have you get more and more involved in the research aspects, like, hey, go enter this data, or hey, Dan, this was one of the first things I was tasked to do on my first day working at a research site. Go buy dry ice. We need dry ice. Go to the grocery store and buy dry ice because we need to ship these lab samples out. So doing little things like that help you out. If you can afford to volunteer some time at a research clinic, you should definitely go the internship route because it won't last too long. If you are a hard worker, they are going to hire you at some point. So that's how you become a clinical research coordinator. If you are someone who can't work for free, you absolutely cannot work for free. It's going to be a little bit harder for you, maybe a lot harder for you, because basically you can't use these strategies other than saying, I have done business development in the past, so maybe you should still get on clinicaltrials.gov and try to find studies for sites in your area so that you can go to the site or you can put it on your resume, familiar with clinicaltrials.gov business development. And then that will stick out to the site. If you put that on your resume or in your cover letter, that will stick out to the site. They'll say, what do you mean by this? And then you'll explain, well, I go on clinicaltrials.gov. I know how to contact sponsors and request that sites participate in studies. Actually do it a few times so that you can say that you know how to do it. Because once you do it, you're no longer inexperienced. You're technically not even research naive anymore because you're doing business development, even if it's for yourself as your own like sole proprietor. So put that on your cover letter. Hopefully you have a strong background in medicine. You don't need a medical background to be a coordinator, but if you can't go the internship route, you have to get paid somehow from day one, then hopefully you have a strong medical background or something. Maybe you're a medical assistant and you could on day one draw someone's blood or do someone's ECG because you don't need training on that. You've already gotten the training on that. Or maybe you're a foreign trained physician. A lot of foreign trained physicians become really good study coordinators. And so why are they valuable? Well, foreign trained physicians are valuable because they understand medicine, obviously. They're doctors. They just happen to be doctors from another country. So they understand medicine. They understand drug interactions. They understand lab results and even how to read lab results and how to read ECGs and all those kind of things. So that's valuable to the site. You can't really teach somebody that. You're bringing those skills to the forefront with you. So if you can't go the internship route, which I laid out in the beginning, I still think you should practice some of those things. The easiest one to do from the comfort of your own home is the clinicaltrials.gov business development, where you're trying to get studies for sites. Put that in your cover letter, put that on your resume. And even if you're going the internship route, you should put that in your cover letter and on your resume, as well as everything else you're good at doing. If you're good at managing Instagram profiles, do that. Put everything you can on there and then start applying, or just go reach out to different sites. Use LinkedIn. Join groups like this, Latinos in Clinical Research. Join groups like my Patreon channel, where it's a monthly mastermind where you get to meet other people from the life sciences industry. We do a monthly Zoom call live. There's so much business that we've done in my Patreon channel, and it's only been around for like 8 months. It's crazy the amount of business we've been doing with each other. I mean, you got to try to network. Okay, Latinos in Clinical Research, absolutely free. My Patreon channel, $5 a month. Put yourself out there. Put yourself in these situations. Try to join the Association of Clinical Research Professionals. You're not going to get ACRP certified, but try to join, become a member, and then try to go to their meetings. If there's only virtual meetings, try to do that. Just expose yourself to research. Talk to different people in your area about what it is that you want to do. Talk to different people in your area about your skill set. Good people are really tough to find. Good coordinators are worth their weight in gold. You can do it, all right? And let me know what your progress is. Following this video to the T, you should have success. Good luck.